South Carolina Gamecock fans, I have got to tell you, I underestimated you on YouTube. I appreciate y'all. Thanks for tuning in. I never expected to be able to divert some of my content and talk about the Gamecocks, but here we are, and we're going to talk a little bit more about it because the channel is taking off in that direction. I'm here to talk college football. So today, I'm here to sit down and ask you. So I'm a fan of North Carolina. I'm a part-time fan of South Carolina, as that is my in-laws' family's team of choice. So it's always Gamecocks for me, outside of the rare chance that North Carolina and South Carolina play each other. But as an outsider looking in at this program, I know there's mixed reviews, mixed opinions on Shane Beamer. I told y'all I'm a diehard ACC guy. I loved Frank Beamer at Virginia Tech. So to see Beamer ball continue here at the University of South Carolina, I'm all for it. And even last night, it got me pumped because I was like, man, it would be nice if Virginia Tech and South Carolina had a home and home where, Virginia Tech comes down to South Carolina goes up to Virginia Tech, two electric environments. Both got to be night games. But I don't think we're there yet from what I could see. But we do have the 2025 Chick-fil-A kickoff in Georgia. It is neutral site at the Mercedes-Benz Dome, but that is going to be fun. I would expect maybe they honor Frank in some way. Who knows? But we're not here to talk about next year. We are here to talk about this year and a Gamecock team that is 6-3. And for the first time since, I think, 2022, ranked in the AP Top 25. Now, the AP Top 25 poll, Shane didn't want him to rank you anyways. He didn't want the Gamecocks ranked. But I think voters finally woke up. Now, that's not the final poll. We're going to be waiting for the college football playoff poll that comes out on Tuesday night. But as you look at the direction of the program, I've got to tell you, I love where it's going. Now, if you're a Gamecocks fan, I can understand also a little bit of frustration at times where Shane Beamer just likes to get a little too cute, whether it's running a fake, whether it's going for it in a situation that they shouldn't go for it, whether you're worried about not having wide receivers that can make plays. I don't know what it is. They're valid concerns. But overall, when I look at the direction of the program, it feels like the South Carolina Gamecocks are headed in the right direction. And so I sat down and I was like, well, hey, I know there was this really good coach there by the name of Steve Spurrier. What did Steve Spurrier look like over the first 4 years? So we're going to talk about that in a second. But before we get into a comparison, let's talk about Shane Beamer. Shane Beamer, 7-6 in his first year, had the Duke's Mayo Bowl win over you-know-who, North Carolina Tar Heels. We were at that game. South Carolina took over the stadium. I can't even remember the quarterback that played that wasn't a quarterback, but they dominated. Sam Howell's last game as a North Carolina Tar Heel, Gamecocks took it to him. Next year, improvement, 2022 season, 8-5. Made the Gator Bowl appearance. That was Notre Dame. Lost 23-20. That was the year they took down Clemson for the first time in a long time, as well as Tennessee. Some big wins that year. 2023 was tough. Offensive line woes. I mean, across the board, the team was not good at 5-7. I will tell you, though, we were at the Vanderbilt game when no one else was there, and it was pouring rain and nasty. We were there in the stands, cheering on the Gamecocks. But here we are, folks. So you have 7-6, 8-5, 5-7, and now 6-3. And if you look at the schedule, good opportunity this week to beat a Missouri team. Gamecocks are already heavily favored in this, and I don't want them to get too out in front of this. I want them to still be locked in like they should be. The Battle of the Columbias. Missouri, I feel like, is overrated. I know they're still in the AP poll. I don't know if they'll be in the college football playoff poll, maybe on the borderline. South Carolina is a better football team. They need to show up and they need to play like it out of the gates. But you're 6-3. We can go ahead and chalk up Wofford, barring a miracle as a win. So you would be 7-3. What if I told you right now, if this team finished with 7 wins on the year, which you would hope that they get more, but if 7 wins, they would tie the Steve Spurrier mark from his first 4 seasons at South Carolina. Yes, believe it or not, 1 win away. You go back to Spurrier, 7-5, 8-5, 6-6, and then 7-6 in his first 4 seasons. And you have Shane 7-6, 8-5, 5-7, 6-3. So getting 7 wins, which, like we said, we can at least count that. Big news for this team. But that's not enough. So you're saying if Shane Beamer knocks off Missouri, which is possible, we won't count our chickens before they hatch, but you're talking 8 wins. If they beat Clemson, which is absolutely likely, 9 wins. A 9-win South Carolina team, and then a chance, of course, to play in a bowl game. Who knows what bowl game would be, what bowl game they would have. Like, of course, we would love for them to be talking playoffs or something big. That would be the first, assuming they get the win in the bowl game. Again, we don't want to count our chickens before they hatch. That would be their first double-digit win since Spurrier's 2013 team where they went 11-2. It is a much better team and experience for these fans than it was under Will Muschamp as well. I even went back to look at Muschamp's time here. 6-7, lost in the Birmingham Bowl. So I guess they were 6-6 during the year. But 9-4, won the Outback Bowl. And 7-6, lost the Belk Bowl. Then 4-8, and 2-5, and fired. So as an outsider, I look at what the Gamecocks are building, and I think Shane Beamer, at least, last year you kind of throw that away, but I look at Shane Beamer as a program builder, and I like what he is doing because I can tell you, as a fan of the North Carolina Tar Heels with Mack Brown, I appreciate what Mack Brown has done for the program. He's given us stability. He's balanced us out. We've won some games. We are somehow back on the right track, although not on a track I would have loved to have been on at the start of the year, but we're back slowly. But it's night and day. Like, I can look across the aisle, look across the state. I look at the money. I look at the experience. And when you talk about the battle between recruiting in North Carolina and South Carolina, I got to tell you, man, if I was a college kid and I'm recruiting between the state lines, unless there's just a diehard tie to a North Carolina school, when you go down to South Carolina and you see that experience, that has to resonate with kids. Because I can tell you a North Carolina game day is nowhere near the same. So as far as the program, I know being in the SEC is one of the hardest things that there is. It is the hardest conference in all of college football, hands down. So I think if you are a fan of this team, you wonder, can you get into kind of that Ole Miss category? We feel like Georgia, Texas, Alabama, kind of near the top or relative to the top. LSU, Texas A&M even, a team that South Carolina beat. So I like the direction. But if you're a fan of the South Carolina Gamecocks, I would love to know your opinion on the state of the program. And if there is additional content that you want me to make, I'm going to let y'all drive it because y'all are fantastic for jumping on here. You just made the last video the most watched video I've had on this YouTube channel, which is wild. But if you're a fan of the Carolina Panthers, hey, too, we got some Panthers content, ACC football, whatever it is. This channel is going to grow and expand, and I appreciate y'all for tuning in.